Okay, this is day 2 of the notes we started yesterday. This is the back. Today will be a little bit different in that you will be asked to fill in some of these blanks on your own. There will still be portions that I will fill in for you that you should copy along. There are going to be times when I'm going to direct you maybe not to write certain things down, just like when we're using the number lines, you might want to lightly draw on number lines because we're going to use them to count. In some cases we can't, but any of the blanks you need to make sure you fill in. So let's go start up here at the top, adding integers. So to add means to move right. We always want to go right on the number line when we add, okay? Now there's going to be times in the future when you're going to understand that adding a negative means go left, but for now let's just worry about going right. Today all we're going to do is add things, so we're always moving right on the number line. So let's fill out this first one, the visual example, -4 plus 7. So I'm going to make some notes on this number line. You might want to make them really lightly with your pencil for now. You can fill them in later, but we're going to use that number line as a tool to finish this problem. They've already filled in the line and the dot, but I'm going to show you where that came from. So they start with -4, so that's where they started, here. That's why they put that big circle there. That's the beginning point. Then we added 7, so we moved to the right 7. You don't have to draw these arrows, but if you want to, it might help you. So we're going to move to the right 7. We're adding 7, so we're moving to the right 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's how they got to 3. So that is our answer, is 3. This shouldn't be terribly difficult. I know one of the mistakes a lot of people make is they start at -4 and then they go all the way to +7. Well, if you start at -4 and go all the way to +7, you've just added 11 instead of 7. We're only talking units here. We're not moving from number to number. We need to add and subtract units. So I'm going to erase this part. Oops, didn't mean to erase that part. But I want to erase the things that we use on this number line. So again, 5 plus 3. We're on number 28 now. If I start at 5, and you already know this, you add 3, you move to the right 3 units. 5 plus 3. Well, 5 plus 3 is 6, 7, 8. So we're at 8. 5 plus 3 is 8. You already know this. This one might be a little bit more difficult for you, but let's do it on the number line. Just use your pencil really lightly on the number line. We're going to start at -1. So here's -1. I'm going to put a big dot right here. You might want to do it lightly. And then we got to add 3. So it means we move to the right 3. 1, 2, 3. So there is our answer, 2. Should be making a little bit more sense now. I'm going to erase what I wrote on here just because I want to keep my number line clean in case I can use it again. Doesn't look like we're going to be able to use it much for the next few problems. But number 30, we have -9 plus 4. Well, if I'm at -9 on the number line and I got to move to the right 4, that means I got to count backwards on my negatives. So if I'm at -9 and I move to the right 4, that's -9, -8, -7, -6, -5. So now I'm at -5. And you might want to draw out a number line just to see that, okay? 31. I have -22 plus 12. So that means I got to start at -22 and count to the right 12 units. Well, I know that that's -10. I will end up at -10 if I go 12 units to the right from -22 on a number line. Now here's where I'm going to ask you to do a little bit of work. I want you to do number 32 and 33 on your own. You can pause the video here if you want, and we'll pick up here in a second. Okay, we're going to move on to subtracting integers. To subtract means to move left on the number line. We always go left when we subtract. Now again, there's going to be a time in the future where you'll see some interesting things where you've got to realize that we're going to change direction sometimes, but we're going to go ahead with the simple instructions we have now. So we have to remember to move left. So the visual example, they start at -2. Started at -2. That's why they put that big circle there. Then we went to the left 3. So we've got to go to the left 3. 1, 2, 3. Where are we at? We're at -5. Okay? So I'm going to go back and erase. You don't need to do this super dark, but I'm just showing you, how to move along on the number line. 6 minus 8. So we're starting at 6. Unfortunately, 6 is not on here, but I'm going to make a little note out here and say, okay, well, here's 6. So if you want, you can make a light note right there just so we can use the number line in this case. So we're going to start at 6. We start at 6. Then we're going to go left 8. Okay, left 8 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, where did we end up? We ended up back at -2 again. So now we know that 6 minus 8 is -2. It's kind of like saying you have $6, but you owe somebody $8. So you give them your 6, you still owe them 2. So if you get another $2, you're going to be at that money too. So 6 minus 8 is 2. 35. -12 minus 6. I'm going to erase all the notes I made up here. If you want to leave them, you can leave them. -12 minus 6. I'm starting at -12. So that means I got to move to the left 6 more units. So I can count that in my head. If I start at -12 and I add -13, -14, -15, -16, -17, -18, I'm at -18. I just counted 6 more units from -12. Okay? Because to the left, the negatives get bigger numbers. 36. This is a real simple one. 14 minus 7. Well, if I start at 14 and count backwards 7, and you can count on your fingers if you want. Let's start at 14 and count backwards 7 units. 14. We're going to start with the first one. 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. So we already know 14 minus 7 is 7. We get these answers the exact same way as we could do it on a number line. Okay? So what I want you to do is fill in these last 3. And you can pause the video right here and try to figure out these last 3. 37, 38, and 39. Go ahead and pause. Okay. Hopefully you were able to do 37, 38, and 39. If you had struggled a little bit, we can go over it here after you're done with the notes. Let's go on to the word problems. Now, I'm going to try to remind you guys. If you don't get something, first you got to read it. If you still don't get it, reread it. If you still don't get it, read it again. But what I would suggest you do is read through it. Look for the things that make sense, that are numbers that you know you're going to have to do something with. Okay? And let's look for the things that go together, really. Now, if we go through number 40, I can see 3 numbers right off the bat. I see a -14, I see a 3, I see a 23. But only 2 of those numbers go together, because I'm not going to be doing anything with the days. This means nothing to me. I want this and I want that. So the water level at Lake Willow was -14 feet. That means it was low. The water level rose by 23 feet. That means it went from -14. I have to go to the right on my number line 23 units. So if you want to, you can write this down, copy it, or find a number line. But we got to start at -14 on a number line and then count right 23 units. Well, if I count right 23 units, we have -14 plus 23 equals 9 feet. That's where we ended up. Okay? 41. Let's look at number 41. Actually, let's look at 42. We're going to look at 42. Peter sets out on a run 4 miles west of his school. He ran 14 miles east. How far past the school is he after his run? Well, we've got to get a visual in our head. What's going on in this thing? Well, I'm going to draw a little building. Okay, there's that. There's the school. There's a flag. There's a school. He started out 4 miles west. Well, let's say he's over here. He's 4 miles this way. Okay, that's where he started. Then he ran 14 miles east, so that means he ran all the way from this 4 miles this way. 14 miles. So we got to go basically -4 plus 14 to see how far he was. We want this distance here. Okay, that's the distance we want. I'm going to put a little question mark. That's where we want to know. How far past the school was he? Well, if we start at -4 and we count 14 units to the right, hopefully you'll figure this out. -4 plus 14 equals 10. Okay, he was 10 miles to the east of the school. Use a number line if that's confusing. Now, sometimes just the way these things are worded can be confusing. Okay, so just try to be careful. I'm just asking you to try these things on your own. Let's look at number 44. Okay, the lava in a volcano rests 220 feet below sea level. Okay, so that tells me that's like a -220. When the volcano erupts, the lava shoots 930 feet upward. How high does the lava reach before it starts to fall? Well, if it's at 220, we're at -220, and it went up 930. And that's a big number line to have to deal with, but we're starting to understand things here. -220 plus 930, that's 710. Okay? That might be difficult, but I want you to try to do 41, 43, and 45 on your own. Okay? So the video is going to pause here or stop here. Do 41, 43, and 45 on your own, or at least attempt them. And then we'll talk about this once you're done with the notes. Okay?